Uvangaan ni Ranga 1933 mi kapa mai mi. Agalan anaga panigavluktamani Inuvialuktun.
Two of Rosie's students are Marie Jacobson from the Cultural Resource Centre and Renie Airey from the Communication Society. They both rely heavily on Rosie for advice and support.
Ilvit kikaktaru kimavid. Kanga.
1993 me.
Oh, huli ako din.
Alaska ngumungnya tuanga.
Umiamik. Umiak toko di kinyalo.
Broward quiet.
Oh, mao nga namot.
Aklagaving me.
Kayok, mat kayok takpat. Diriganenik.
Nanareak toko di.
Diriganenik or itiring.
Diriganet.
Diriganet.
Kati kahit naman ko.
Oh, weasel?
No. White fox.
Oh.
Diriganenik.
And weasel is huna.
Itirak.
Oh, okay. Itirak and diriganet.
I work a lot with Rosie Albert. She's been a mentor for me since my grandparents, especially my grandmother, passed on. There was really no one where I could turn to and say, how do I say this, or, what's that? And so Rosie's been really good and patient, and she's always speaking to me in Inuvialuktun. She knows I understand, so she's helped me come a long way, in this stage in my life since my grandmother died.
When I was a little girl, we went to a residential school, and most of the kids that came from the Eastern Arctic, or Tuktoyaktuk, or even from out on the land, like my girlfriends, like Eva Simon and Elizabeth Alanik and Christine of Uganda, and all my girlfriends, they didn't know how to talk in English. So when we went to school, there was some students that came from Tuktoyaktuk and Holman Island and Coppermine. They had different dialect, and when they came to school, the sisters would try to teach them their language and tell them to say things in English, and they didn't understand. So I started translating for them, and I'll tell them, when sisters say to sit down, and I'd say, Akawitin. And when she tell us to stand up, I'll say, Makitichi. So that's the way I became interpreter translator.
Ubakin na kao nga nakaduga. Nanalok na gilanit na ako kachinik.
Marie and Renie enjoy their language. It gives them an identity.
When I first came on, I worked mainly with developing a curriculum for the schools, and it's resource materials that the center had placed in the work plan to try and help the teachers. So that was my focus when I first started.
Okay, a lot of these kids' parents do not understand Inuvialuktun.
Why do you think that is?
Because of the hostel. They were taken away from homes and put into the hostel till they were finished school, and there was no Inuvialuktun languages spoken there. Yeah. See, I'm one of them, and I had to learn again. I assisted Rosie Albert, and she helped me in every way. Yeah, she made it easy. She made it seem so easy.
When I go home from school, my brothers and my Uncle Elijah and Hugh and Sandy, all those kids, they didn't know how to talk in English, so I'd make them sit down and teach them, and sometimes have fun. I was trying to teach Elijah and about time, and my grandmother, had a tent where she always jiggled. And them days you didn't have a watch. So we had clocks that you wind. And when I came back from school, they were young boys, and all they did was play around with dog team. Sometimes they had 2 dogs and 1 dog, and they raced. But so I was making them see how many minutes they could race one day, teaching them about the time. So Elijah, I guess, he was at my grandmother's tent, and she had a tent where she could warm up while she's jiggling in, and Elijah had to keep the stove going for his mum. So he raced to our tent. It's just one long stretch like that at the point. So I guess his mother's time was 3 o'clock. So he looked at the time there, and he raced towards our house, our tent. That was in the springtime, muskrat hunting. So he raced to our tent. And as soon as he came in the tent, he grabbed the clock and he said, "Aja, hukat bailunga chimitka utak chimitka, hukat bailuting hikinora utak tirnikok." He said, which meant, "Holy smoke, my dogs go so fast, that time even went back." He told me. I told him, "Elijah, the time don't go back. It only goes forward." Yeah.
We'll be right back with more of Suaangan and Speaking My Language, right here on APTN. Welcome back to Suaangan and more of Speaking My Language, right here on APTN. Patrick Joe is in a perfect position to strengthen the language that he was exposed to as a child. His work on the television program Tamapta is helping him regain a hold on his mother tongue.
Well, when I was growing up, we used to always go out on the land. So I don't know, maybe about 3 months out of the year, we'd be out at my granny's camp or at Shingle Point or things like that. And I remember sometimes she would always try to speak to me in Inuvialuktun. And I would understand certain words like fish or fishnet or bread, just certain little words. And then when she would really speak with her neighbor, Wilson Malagana, who just stays down the river, maybe about a 10-minute walk, they'd really start speaking, and I'd always wonder what they were saying. And then my granny asked me, "So you wish you could understand it?" And I said, "Well, I wish I did, but I'd probably be the only one my age understanding it." So she said, "Well, if you don't want to learn, you don't have to." So I think I probably should have said yeah back then, because then I probably could have been a fluent speaker in it by now.
He's scooping it out. Good.
So working with Renie is great because as I'm working with her, she teaches me how to speak the language, how to understand certain words, certain sentences. So it's great. That's good, it ends with a sentence.
My name is Rene Airey. I'm a producer translator here at ICS. The shows that we produce here is all Inuvialuit that speak in their language, and then we in turn translate it to English so that people that don't understand the Inuvialuktun, they could at least read it along and listen to them talking in Inuvialuktun. When I was growing up, that's all I used to talk was in Inuvialuktun. But when I went to residential school in 1954, I stayed there for 8 years. And in between there, I lost my language. I could understand them a little bit when they talked to me, but I totally lost it. And then when I started working at first shop with the elders, they knew that I used to talk my language when I was very young, and they would talk to me, and sometimes I never understood that one word, so I'd ask them, what was that word? And they in turn tell me, and they would tell me, talk to me in Inuvialuktun, and they would tell me, answer me. And so I would try to answer. And a lot of times my words would come out differently, and then they would correct me. They would laugh at me, but they said that's a good feeling they had inside them, knowing that I was trying to learn. A lot of times, sometimes when people laugh at another person, they just give up right then and there. But I was told that when you're trying to speak your language, when they have that laugh from inside, they're happy that you're trying to relearn your language. So I took it that way since then. So every time I made a mistake, they would correct me.
Inuvialuktun teacher Sandra Ipana.
What I really like about my job is teaching the language. What language I know. I'm not as fluent as I really want to be, but I can really understand. My mom, she never spoke English to me, so that was one of the benefits in my life. So that's what I really like doing in the kindergarten classes. Trying to pass on what I know from my mom and from the elders, like from my mother-in-law, from many elders like Martha Harry, George Harry, and what they taught me and the encouragement that they give me, I like to pass that on to those kids. Okay, where do I start? Nani?
Top.
Amakinikik ko kami.
Oh, titalinik.
Titalinikilo.
Huling niyo.
Hiwlingnilo.
And heranak.
Heraniglo.
Huna.
To keep the language, it has to be used daily.
I've never been ashamed of my language. I guess I was really shy when I was young, so I don't remember. I was probably laughed at. No one else my age could understand other than what they were taught in school, which was the basics like numbers and simple commands. But I just never had anyone to associate with, so I think that was the really hard part because I guess you can say I was advanced in the language, whereas my other friends, knew little or, very little or none. But I was never ashamed. It's just overcoming the fear, I guess, of trying to speak and exercising the tongue and, really working at it. And I think it took a long time coming before I was comfortable at even trying to speak. With encouragement from other family members, I was able to overcome that. In Naivut, our elders, right now?
Yeah.
In night pikpang naktut. Pikpang naktut.
Patrick Joe wishes he knew more Inuvialuktun.
Does help me when like for instance when Renie's not here and she's assisting either David or yourself doing translations, and there are certain words when I'm doing 3-line translation here, for instance, like if he says people, it's either Inuit or Inuvialuit, or long ago or songs, certain one words I can make out where's the beginning or the end of 3 lines. So then I can stop and I can move on to the next 3 lines. So it helps me a bit, but if I knew more, then I can actually work a lot further and faster. Because when Renie's going, we have to wait until here and there, and then if she gets called away to do other assisting jobs with Suaangan, doing a little translation piece, then I have to sit here and wait, and I feel very frustrated because I had the option so many years ago to learn the language, but I didn't.
We'll be right back with more of Suaangan and Speaking My Language, right here on APTN. Welcome back to Suaangan and more of Speaking My Language, right here on APTN.
My dad was always hanging around with his brother-in-laws. He had Hebert Allen and Owen Allen, his brother-in-laws. They always be together with because my mom was their sister. So one morning, in whaling time, they always get up early, so he went up on top of the hill, and so I followed him, and he said, "Run home and tell your mother there's whales out there." So I ran home and I told my mother, "Mom, Dad said there's whales out there, you gotta make coffee. We gotta get ready to go whaling." So I got everything. I got 10 gallons of gas. I have to roll it to the boat and get the grub box ready, because we got to take off. We didn't even have breakfast, but he wanted coffee. So by the time we were ready to go to pick up the grub box and stuff, and we had no coffee yet. And so my dad said, "I thought I sent you home quite a while ago to wake up your mom to make coffee." I said, "I did." "Did you talk to her in Inuvialuktun?" "Oh, I forgot she was Inuvialuit. I talked to her in English. Sorry." So after that, I always try to remember how I talked to my mom in "Pabang mago kapili ako gatin."
Many of the kids, they come into my class and they don't even really know that they're Inuvialuit, because there's too many other things in life sometimes that parents, they just don't tell their kids, Maybe they're too busy in their work field, or they're just trying to get by, that these little things are overlooked. So when they come in, we give them a sense of identity, a sense of belonging. And I always find that once that starts to happen, then I really don't have much behavior problems, because then those kids start to have that void filled, and they take pride in who they are and what they are, and I really enjoy that part of it.
I encourage them to use it at home, because I send them a paper home. It has the Inuvialuktun word, the Inuvialuktun sentences, it's into English, and then it's broken down on how to pronounce the word correctly. And this would help the parents at home to learn. Because if you send these home, the students have to practice with their parents. And I've had some feedback on some parents saying that some of their children are starting to teach them how to say the words. Yeah.
Clara uses games to keep her students focused on Inuvialuktun.
Cup it. Laura, Lydia, cup it. Titalak. Good.
Ihumaturak. Kanuk ihuma.
It's not enough to be an Inuvialuit. You must want to learn.
The first thing adults need to have is the desire to learn. We've tried so many, times to hold programs. Like, for example, adult learning classes, there's always a great interest in the beginning. But due to busyness of, everyday lives and, other commitments, I think that's what really takes away time. So you have to be devoted and really put effort into it. So that's something that we need to really look at and, look at ourselves and say, do I really want this? Is this what I can do? Make goals, short goals, and then later on make long-term goals.
Okay, Ata, maling na put Desiree, listen to Desiree, close your eyes, Ata. If you want your child in Inuvialuktun, then you have to try and learn along with your child, use these flashcards, use these things. Make your own word wall, make your own poster wall or something, and have those words there and constantly use them. Once the kids know a word, like right now we're doing Christmas, they know the word napaktok now, it means tree. So I don't hear that English word anymore in the classroom. So they have to use it all the time. So that's what I encourage with the parents. Try and use those words with your kids all the time. Go through those flashcards all the time. Do the numbers, the colors, shapes, whatever we sent home. Try and support your child, you know, anywhere, every day, every minute of the day. Yeah.
I would encourage the people, the elderlies, to talk to us in Inuvialuktun, and especially for us to try to talk to the ones that already know how to speak it and they're having a hard time to talk. They're the ones now is to try to get them to speak it more and be proud of who we are, because our ancestors back then didn't speak no English. All they talked to us was in Inuvialuktun. And if we don't, our language is going to be gone, and it's going to be really sad, because when one person that have the language and they pass away, that there's that piece that's gone with them. And now it's up to us to try to learn the younger ones how to speak it.
Like Renie said, our language is in danger and it's up to us to save it ourselves. So let's all pitch in and do our part. Until next time, I'm your host, Dennis Allen. Tune in again next week for more of Suaangan, Our Strength, right here on APTN. Kuya nakpak.